Hi class, welcome to English 252 Fundamentals of Research and Presentations. I wanted to take a few minutes at the outset of this term to kind of dispel a myth about writing that some individuals may think that you're either born with it or you're not. And while there are some people that do have an innate ability, gift when it comes to writing, just like any talent that individuals might have, for most of us, and for even those that have it innately in them, writing can be done well through a process, and with a little bit of effort and directed effort, we can become better at writing, and that's what I'm hoping that you'll do, and use the approach I'm going to be addressing right now to apply to your writing. So I want to start off with a quote from Donald Murray, who is someone that writing instructors and rhetoricians study. He's written a lot that is fundamental with writing, and he talks about in a journal article called The Maker's Eye, he says that when students complete a first draft, they consider the job of writing done, and their teachers too often agree. And sometimes you feel that way because it's forever to even get that first draft out. But what he's trying to direct us to do and say that even professional writers have to go through the writing process. So your first draft is going to be rough, and it can become better. And even if it's something that you have been able to write a paper the night before and still do really well on, think about, if you apply the writing process, how much even stronger your writing could be, to the point that you might even become a professional writer if you're not already. So I want to talk briefly about the writing process, and we'll go into more details about these as the semester goes on. So the first thing is pre-writing, and then there's drafting, revision, and there's editing, and then there's publication or turning it in for a grade, which would be similar to the publication stage. So when it comes to writing, pre-writing is a really good technique. It's a great technique to help you overcome writer's block. When I was an undergraduate, that was something that I used to struggle with, and part of it was I would sit, I wouldn't sit in front of the computer because I actually wrote on paper, and some of that was because of when I was writing over 20 years ago as an undergraduate. But I would sit there for a long period of time just trying to craft the perfect sentence, and that's really not a great way to go. The best way to go is to do some pre-thinking, and some activities that you can do with that are free writing, where you just you don't think about grammar, you don't think about crafting the perfect sentence, you just write the ideas that are just off the top of your head for a given amount of time, usually 5 or 15 minutes, and hopefully some ideas come out that you can expand upon and improve upon. Then there's brainstorming. Many of you do that in your professional lives, where you just think through ideas and just kind of do a bulleted list. And there's clustering. Clustering is a technique for visual learners, and clustering is where you start off with an idea in the middle of your paper, and you kind of circle that, and then you have some offshoots of ideas from that. You have some sub-ideas. And then there's outlining, where you kind of think through, how am I going to approach my paper? What is my thesis statement? And then you might come up with some major points and put them in topic sentences for your body paragraphs. And so that also can help you in terms of just pre-thinking how you would approach your paper. And then there's drafting, and that's actually just starting to write something down. But even your first draft, while that might have taken you a while to do, it's good to set it aside and then come back to it and work on doing multiple drafts, because that's how you can improve the piece. So in terms of multiple drafts, after you're done with drafting, then you go to the next phase, which is revision. So many students would think that editing is the next stage, but it's actually revising. And I'm not going to go over each of these in detail. Again, this is just kind of give you an overview. But revising is where you really look at the content, and you look at the focus, and do all of my ideas support my thesis? And how is it organized? Am I organizing my ideas from most important to least important? Are they connecting, or is one sentence connecting to the other? So you're going to look at those ideas. Are they fully developed? And it's more content driven. And then we get to editing, which is a local revision or a small order concern. And this is where we look at the punctuation. And I don't want you to get caught up in the punctuation, because understanding can occur with punctuation errors. But I have a couple down here to show you some examples of communication that might be confusing. with punctuation. But again, we'll work through these together and help you along the semester to become a better writer. But this is how I want you to approach your paper and your writing, is to do it in these stages. And I will talk to you throughout the term in more detail on how to approach these.